Testing, testing. All right. So I wanted to make a quick video that is a faction inspiration recap video that summarizes what we spoke about in Communication Podcast 2. The reason for this video is to give more context to everybody in the universe, which is right now being referred to as the Parallaeon universe. So it's a parallel aeon, and it's Parallaeon, which kind of sounds like parlaying. We like to talk about what has happened in a parallel way. So each faction that we have so far, we've covered the first four, the reason why they're being represented this way. So what inspired, let's start with the Sheen in this case. The core inspirations for the Sheen were ancient Chinese herbal medicine and dynastic policies, meaning culture that's steeped in ritual and health tradition and preserving traditions. There's been several stories documented of bodies and the like being preserved in mercury. So another thing that inspired it is just the cost and the hidden price of longevity. What really goes into creating a dynasty, and how can that affect the people, and how can that affect the overarching goal of the dynasty. Then further, we have the Bizi, which is eternal trained faith, is kind of the inspiration there. Just debates about theologies, debates about icons, the fusion of state and church, more of a comparison of faith and progress. Motion becomes an entire dogma of something that just can't stop, can't sit still, and what is to be sacrificed to keep the system running, what must be relinquished by the people and by the powers that be to keep the system running. Then we have the Frumo, which were inspired by the volatility of the French Revolution and the Napoleonic era. A lot of tyranny traded for tyranny, kind of mirrored by a bipolar dichotomy, and what it's like to live with this explosive kind of dynamic that looks like it's doing nothing, and then all of a sudden, kind of implodes or explodes onto itself or explodes outwardly. And then the Rumin, last but not least, here we are covering class divide, reform versus corruption, and how those two can kind of go hand in hand sometimes, where what you think is reform is really just a face stamped onto political corruption. The satire of oligarchies is something we wanted to really cover here, because it's tough to see through not only propaganda, not only that kind of reform being actually propagated by corruption, but it's really tough to see who is in charge anyway, whose line is it anyway, so to speak. It's really tough to see which face is the true backbone of the organization of the government or whatever corporation. So that's the inspiration for the four first factions. I wanted to go over that real quick for all the Vanguards out there. Vanguards being anybody who's working on this game, anybody who's talking about this game, anybody pretty much ever. And those are the Vanguards. So I don't want to spoil too much, but I just wanted to cover that. Thanks for watching. Till next time.